Welcome to our channel, all friends. If you are new to my channel, please subscribe my channel and press the bell icon to stay update for new videos. Thanks. Let's start new video. I was staring intently at the girl sitting on my bed, her face veiled. She sat as if I would go to her now, gently lift her veil with great affection, and praise her beauty from earth to sky with songs of adoration, then put this ring on her finger as a gift for showing her face. The ring my mother had forcibly handed to me. I was so furious that if taking a life were permissible for me, I would have taken hers right then. Tears of anger welled up in my eyes, but I couldn't do anything, no matter how much I wanted to, because I belonged to an Eastern family. I was an Eastern boy from a religious household. If I took even one wrong step, my family would wonder what I had done to my new bride, that her screams were echoing outside the room. With great difficulty, controlling myself, I clenched my fists and approached the bed. With how many hopes, how many desires I had decorated this room. As I decorated each flower with my own hands, I thought about what those moments would be like when Mahinian, as a bride, would come into this room with me. All of it felt like a dream to me. That night, truly, it all remained just a dream. All this decoration was solely for Mahin. But today, seeing the one who was present in my room as a bride, my blood would simply boil. I stepped forward and yanked her veil off. She probably shyly was waiting beneath it, perhaps hoping that I would embrace her and, swept away by emotion, dedicate tonight to her. But that was absolutely not the case. I was Arslan. Arslan Alamgir was no ordinary man to accept her so easily into his marriage. She looked at me startled and began to say, "What happened, Arslan? Why are you angry with me? To be honest, it's not my fault. I didn't do anything." But the very next moment, my hand was already on her neck. Grabbing her by the neck, I pulled her up from the bed and said, "I know you did all this. You had your eye on me from the beginning. I'm not a child who can't understand anything. I can see everything that's going on in someone's eyes and heart. The way you used to look at me, repeatedly trying to touch me, you practically wanted to come and sit in my lap. And now you're acting innocent, saying you didn't do anything. Tell me, where is Ani? What have you done to Ani? Tell me the truth or you'll see the worst of me." Her complexion changed and she started coughing. I let go of her, just thinking that she might die. Angrily, I said, "Fix your appearance right now and disappear from my sight. I will never accept you as my wife." She was sobbing uncontrollably, gasping for breath as she cried, "Until today, you kept your real face hidden from everyone. Everyone always thought you were a decent, extremely good person, but you turned out to be a beast. It's a good thing my sister didn't marry you otherwise. Who knows how she would have spent her life with a person like you. You're not human, you're an animal." Her words further enraged me. I had never been rude to any girl before. But hearing her say these things, the devil truly began to tempt me from within. I stepped forward in anger, pulled her close by her arm and said, "Oh, so you haven't even seen my devil awaken yet? You were so eager to become my wife, and now you're putting on this act? I'll show you what a man truly becomes when he turns into a beast, what he does to the woman standing in front of him." Seeing the savagery in my eyes, she was terrified, but I had completely lost control. I just wanted to make this girl the target of my hatred in any way possible. I wanted to tell her that she could never achieve the place in my life that I wanted to give to Annie. There's a world of difference between you and her. You've not only deceived me, but also your own sister. My mind rebelled to such an extent that what I did that night, the next morning, Mahin, I was sitting with my head bowed among my parents. My mother kept nudging me, saying, "Son, why are you being shy like a girl? Just look up once. Your future wife is sitting right in front of you. Talk a little, get to know each other." But I had always been like this. I used to feel shy around girls. I had studied up to university level, but still, I had never spoken freely with any girl. This shyness and modesty had been taught to me by my mother. Even now, my heart truly yearned to lift my head and look at my wife sitting in front of me, whose picture my mother had shown me last night. And upon seeing it, I had immediately said yes to the marriage. Because until today, I had seen many girls, but among them, it was Ani who seemed the most beautiful to me. After seeing her picture, I couldn't sleep all night. My heart was restless, wishing only for our wedding day to arrive, so she would be there with me in that room. I wasn't a playboy, but I had my own dreams and emotions that I wanted to fulfill only with my wife. Finally, mustering courage, I lifted my head and saw the innocent Ani sitting in front of me, wearing a pink frock and dupatta. Upon seeing her, it was as if I had forgotten to blink. At that moment, she looked even more beautiful than in her picture. Our eyes met, and the next moment she shyly lowered her head. Our elders were sitting a little distance away, engrossed in conversation. I was still looking at Ani when someone placed a hand on my shoulder. A shiver ran through my entire body because no one had ever placed a hand on my shoulder in such a friendly manner before. I had very few friends, and those I had were well aware of my temperament, so no friend had ever gotten so familiar as to put a hand on my shoulder. I considered such things inappropriate. Believe me, I felt a 440-volt shock when I turned around and saw an 18-year-old lively, cheerful girl. There was no doubt that she too was exceptionally beautiful. Wearing a short kurta and tight pajamas, with her hair loose and spread over her shoulders, she looked like a makeup store. For one, she had applied such dark lipstick. I always found girls who wore a lot of makeup to look like cartoons. I didn't like them at all. I only liked simple, subtly made-up girls like Ani who didn't hide their real appearance behind makeup. But I was quite disturbed by her friendly gesture of placing a hand on my shoulder. Yet, she was completely informal with me, sitting directly beside me on the sofa, with just a few inches of space between us, crossing her legs. Looking at me, she said, "Hey, Arsalan Bhai, what is this? Secretly looking at my sister? Go on, look your fill. If you want, I can even arrange for you two to meet alone. Get to know each other well." Hearing her talk like that, I was stunned. What kind of girl was this? She was a full 6 years younger than me, but look at her tongue. Tisk, tisk. My own sisters were of that age, but they had never joked around with me in such a manner. Our family was quite religious. I hesitantly looked at the girl and moved to sit a little further away. But the next moment, she had already grabbed my arm. She said, "You look so dashing. Why are you so shy?" "Oh, no one will say anything. Come on, I'll arrange a secret meeting for the two of you." She laughed. Ani, sitting opposite, kept glaring at her, her face turning crimson with embarrassment. But this girl seemed completely unaffected. I quietly stood up. She led me to the rooftop from one side. After a while, she also sent Ani there. Seeing Ani, I seemed to forget all about that girl's informality. We had just started introducing ourselves when Mahin cleared her throat from one side and appeared. With her hands on her hips, she walked and stood in front of us. What a shameless girl she was. She was so grown up but didn't even bother to wear a dupatta. She was roaming around in short, tight clothes in front of the men of the house. Seeing her made my brow furrow. She walked over and placed her arm on Andalib's shoulder, then looked at me from head to toe and said, "What do you say, sis? The boy's quite nice, innocent, meaning he's worthy of being my brother-in-law. Believe me, I've seen many boys before today, but none had what it takes to be the brother-in-law of Mahi the Great, and for me to be called his sister-in-law." Seeing her excessively long tongue, I tried hard to control myself and not say anything. But when that girl started to cross the line, I said with great restraint, "Mahin, can you leave me and your sister alone for a while? We both want to talk privately." I was enunciating each word carefully, hoping she'd understand. But instead of paying attention to my words, she immediately clapped her hands and said, "No, absolutely not. You know, when a boy and a girl are alone, the third person with them is the devil. If I leave you two alone for 5 minutes, who knows what you'll do, and then the blame will fall on me, won't it? That I left you two alone here? No, absolutely not. I can't take such risks. Whatever you want to talk about, do it in front of me. After all, I'm your sister-in-law, and sisters-in-law are half of the family. Whatever right your sister has over you, I'll have half of that. So there's no need to be shy. Just say what's on your mind." Smoke was practically coming out of my ears. If I didn't like Ani, and if she wasn't of the same temperament as me, I would have refused the proposal and left a long time ago. The main problem was that I had lost my heart to Ani. Finally, after Ani's eye contact, she did leave from there. We both talked to each other, and on the spot, I also told Ani that I liked her and wanted to marry her as soon as possible. She seemed quite lost and quiet to me. I thought that such girls were the ones who truly kept a home well maintained. With this thought, we talked for a while and then went back and sat with everyone again. For a moment, I felt that Annie was a bit too quiet. She only responded to my words with yes and hmm. Even when I asked her to say more, she didn't speak much. I thought perhaps it was her shyness getting in the way. A few days later, the wedding date was fixed, and wedding preparations were in full swing. During this time, my sister decided. She took my number and secretly saved it in Annie's phone, and then gave me Annie's number so we could talk to each other. 2 days before the wedding, I intensely missed Annie. I looked at her picture, holding it to my chest, and thought that I should talk to Annie. After all, she was going to be with me in 2 days. I wanted to know if she was happy and what she thought about me. After all, we were going to spend our entire lives together. Thinking this, I dialed Annie's number. At first, there were only missed calls, but when the phone was finally picked up, it wasn't Annie's voice, but Mahin's, who answered Annie's phone, Sorwang Nimaon. Clearing her throat, she said in an extremely playful tone, "Brother-in-law, what are you thinking calling my sister at this hour of the night? What are your intentions? Tell me clearly. It's 11 p.m. right now, and what do you want to do by calling your future wife at this moment?" Today, my patience had run out. I couldn't control my anger, no matter how much I tried. I don't know why, but I truly disliked this girl from the start. I felt a strange irritation and annoyance towards her. Angrily, I said, "What kind of behavior is this? Don't you have any shame or modesty? Show some respect. Let me talk to Annie. What concern is it of yours what we both talk about privately? I absolutely don't like girls like you and people who constantly interfere. It's better for you to understand my temperament as soon as possible. Otherwise, it won't be good for you." I bit out these words, hoping she would understand what I was trying to say. But the very next moment, she laughed. She laughed and said, "The one you should be trying to understand is sleeping soundly, having sold her donkeys and horses," a saying meaning sleeping very deeply. "And you're telling me to understand your temperament? Why, is everything all right? You're marrying my sister, and you're explaining yourself to me." I was so frustrated that I either wanted to make that girl disappear from the face of the earth or smash my head against something to cool my anger. I angrily hung up the phone. I had already decided that after the wedding, I would tell Annie in plain words that I don't like people with her sister's temperament at all. I would tell her to keep her sister in check and not try to get familiar with me, or it wouldn't be good for her. I tend to go absolutely mad when I'm angry. I wouldn't want to say something rude that would hurt her sister's feelings. I fell asleep in my anger. The next morning when I woke up, there were many messages from Aini asking to talk to me urgently and if I could spare 2 minutes. Reading Aini's message made me think. Then I wondered if it was Mahin messaging from Aini's number, trying to pull another prank. I was about to call back when my sister came to call me. All our relatives had arrived downstairs. It took quite a while to meet everyone, and I completely forgot that I needed to talk to Aini. Finally managing to get away from everyone, I came to my room. As soon as I called Aini's number, I heard Aini's trembling voice from the other side. Her voice sounded quite heavy. It seemed like she had ruined her throat from crying. When I heard Aini's voice, I felt something and began to say, "What's wrong? Why are you crying? Is everything all right?" I know this time is very difficult for every girl. It's not easy for any girl to leave her home, her parents, and her siblings and come to a new place, but don't worry, I'm not like ordinary boys. I am Arsalan Alamgir. I won't let a single tear come to your eyes after marriage. I will keep you very happy. You'll see, your family will envy your luck that you got a husband like me. I will give you so much happiness that you will forget your parental home. I was trying to console her with these kinds of words, but from the other side, the sound of crying continued. It seemed as if something else was making her cringe. I asked Aini again, but then someone took the phone from Aini and holding it to their ear said, "You've already started making my sister cry. Aren't you ashamed? Oh, the wedding hasn't even happened yet. Your Nika is tomorrow, and my sister is already exhausted from crying. I think we need to reconsider your relationship. What are you demanding? Are you asking for dowry from my sister?" She continued, "Why didn't you tell us earlier if you had such a temperament?" Hearing that girl's words, my brain was about to explode like lava. This girl was testing my patience repeatedly. There was a world of difference between her and Aini, things we hadn't even though or spoken of. She was just finding words from somewhere and rattling them off. I exhaled deeply and said, God save me from you, girl. Don't unnecessarily mess with my mind. I'm trying very hard not to be rude to you, but you're repeatedly forcing me to be rude to you. Let me talk to my sister. But she had already cut the call right there. After that, I had no contact with Aini. Eventually, we arrived at Aini's house with the wedding procession. Everyone was very happy. The Nika Kawan, marriage officiant, was also present. When it was time for the Nika, neither my in-laws nor Mahin were anywhere to be seen. A strange silence had fallen over the place. I couldn't understand what had happened. I asked my mother to go and find out why they were taking so long to bring Aini. But then, from one side, my mother-in-law appeared, her eyes swollen, probably from crying. She signaled to my mother. Another half hour passed, and now even the guests had started whispering. When my mother came back to me from the hallway, her face was pale. My heart was pounding too. I didn't know what had happened. My mother sat down beside me and said, "Son, Aini has run away from home. Your in-laws are crying and begging us to save their honor. They are saying that if you have to take a daughter from their house, then their younger daughter is ready to marry. So you should marry Mahin instead of Aini." These words felt like molten glass being forced into my ears. I kept looking at my mother with questioning eyes for a long time. This was absolutely not possible for me. I said, "What are you saying? How can you even think that Aini could run away? This must be a joke or perhaps another one of Mahin's pranks." I immediately got down from the side and went through the hallways to where my in-laws were standing. Both their eyes were tearful. Seeing me, my father-in-law tried to take off his turban and place it at my feet. I caught his hands. Crying, he said, "My daughter has run away from home. For God's sake, save our honor. One daughter has stained our reputation and left. We beg you, please save our remaining honor. Take our other daughter as your bride. We will never forget this kindness of yours." My parents also thought this was the best course of action, because the wedding procession returning empty-handed would bring great dishonor, not just to the girl's family, but to the boy's family as well. But no one asked me what was going through my heart at that moment. Taking Mahinal into my Nika was impossible for me. I hated Mahin, intensely hated her, and deep down I felt that she had liked me all along. The way she used to look at me, how she used to come close to me, I always suspected she had ulterior motives. However, I remained silent in front of my parents and in-laws. With great difficulty, I accepted Mahin into my Nika. All the guests were whispering. Slowly, everyone started going home. I repeatedly questioned Mahin, who was sitting beside me as the bride, asking if she knew anything about Aini's whereabouts. But she kept crying and saying she knew nothing about it. She claimed she didn't know where Aini had gone. I knew her cunning. This was nothing but her lie. She had orchestrated this entire plan just to marry me. God knows where she had hidden the innocent Aini. I couldn't sleep all night. For the first time, I was so harsh with a girl. I was sternly asking her, "Tell me, where is Aini? What have you done to Aini?" But she just kept crying and pleading with folded hands, saying, "I don't know anything. Why are you repeatedly blaming me?" Even seeing her tears, I still felt no pity for her. I grabbed her face and said, "Because you liked me. You had your eye on me first. I know cheerful girls like you very well. Your sister was extremely innocent. You planned this entire thing just to marry me. Do you understand?" At my words, anger also flashed in her eyes. Until now, Mahin had been crying and putting on an act, but now she began to show her true face. She snatched her hand away from me and said, "What do you think you are? You've been pretending to be righteous in front of everyone, and now that I'm in your Nika, you're treating your wife like an animal. My ideal was never someone like you. I don't know what dreams you're living in. If I am here, it is only to uphold my parents' honor. Their vows are what keep me here, and I am forced to build a home with you for the rest of my life." Hearing this, I was stunned into silence. The next morning when I woke up, the atmosphere in the house was strange. All the relatives were whispering. The walima, reception, somehow got over too. Everyone praised Mahin a lot, but I couldn't bear to look at her. My parents slowly accepted her as their daughter-in-law, saying, "Oh, we thought Aini was good, but look what kind of girl she turned out to be. She brought dishonor to her parents and left. And this one, even though she is mischievous and lively, look what a big step she took to uphold her parents' honor. My mother began to love her just like her own daughters, but she could never make a place in my heart. I knew one thing for sure. For that day, when I came home, as soon as I opened the room door, the strong scent of perfume caused a sharp pain in my head. I was already exhausted from working at the office, and then this strong fragrance made me even more restless. I looked up and saw Mahina standing in front of the mirror, dressed up like a bride. There was no doubt that she looked incredibly beautiful at that moment, like a vision, but I still turned my gaze away from her. Looking at her, my heart grew restless again and again, telling me to go to her, to claim my right. After all, she was my wife and permissible for me. But I knew this was solely that girl's ploy. I angrily walked closer to her and asked, "Who are you all dressed up for like this?" In response, she shyly said, "Oh, Arsalan, Auntie told me to get ready for you. After marriage, a girl should dress up to please her husband." She had just said this when I glared at her and said, "What will all this achieve? You've been forced into my life. Isn't that enough? What else do you want? Take all this off. I don't like this makeup, this dressing up." I swiftly rubbed her lips, yanked at the earrings in her ears, ruined all her makeup, and threw her to the floor. I said, "You will never achieve the place in my life that Aini had." Perhaps, hearing Aini's name repeatedly from my mouth, she too had grown tired. Immediately she stood up and said, "From now on, you will not take Aini's name in front of me, no matter what. You are my husband. It's easy for you to marry again and start your life, but my life and death are with you. In our family, girls do not return home after divorce. Their funeral procession leaves from the same house they were married into. The sooner you accept this reality, the better. Understood?" She had spoken her mind and left, and I had promised myself that I would never elevate this girl to the status of my wife. A few days had passed, and I noticed a clear difference in her behavior after the wedding. The liveliness that Maheen had before marriage had completely disappeared after the wedding. She had tried her best to fulfill this relationship with me. Even now, when I came home, she was busy in the kitchen, cooking my favorite food. The tight, revealing clothes she used to wear were now replaced by loose, comfortable ones, and she always wore a dupatta over her head when she came in front of me. Earlier, when I had visited my in-laws' house for a short while, Maheen's chatter filled the entire house. But after the wedding, it was as if she had completely changed. She was trying her best to make a place in my heart. It was as if she had forgotten her old self. How long could I maintain my harsh attitude? My mother also kept trying to make me understand, and my heart slowly began to soften. But what happened that night, I had never imagined I would go through with it. Today, on my mother's insistence, I was coming home earlier than usual because she was going to attend a wedding at an acquaintance's house. Both my sisters were with them. I was still on my way when a fierce, stormy rain began. The rain created a strangely romantic atmosphere. As soon as I reached home, the rain had become quite heavy. The scene I witnessed upon entering the house blew my mind. Maheen was taking full advantage of being alone in the house. She was moving around in the rain with her eyes closed. The clothes she was wearing clung to her body. She was oblivious to the fact that I was standing a short distance away, watching her. Whatever she was, she looked incredibly beautiful at that moment, and being my wife, she was further igniting my emotions. It became difficult for me to control myself. It felt as if I was under some spell. Slowly, I started moving closer to her. I stood right next to her. Feeling my presence, she immediately opened her eyes. I too was drenched in the rain with her. Seeing me, she was startled and quickly said, "When did you arrive? I'm sorry, I didn't know that." Before she could say anything more, I placed my finger on her lips, saying, "No, don't say anything further." After glancing at the curves of her body, I began to cross my boundaries. I never thought I would be able to start my life with the girl I intensely hated, whose voice alone would send my blood pressure soaring. All my vows, all my words, vanished into thin air in an instant. I accepted this girl into my life as my wife. The next morning, when I woke up, remembering the moments of the previous night, I felt in strange hesitation. I glanced at Maheen's face, who was sleeping beside me. It possessed an astonishing beauty, but even this made me angry at her. The next moment, I pushed her hard. She almost fell off the bed. Her eyes were swollen, and in a dazed voice she asked, "What happened to you? What have I done now?" Dizzily from sleep, she tried to lean on the bed for support, and I angrily said, "This is what you wanted, isn't it? You knew beforehand that I was coming home, and look at the plan you made to make me crazy about you. You deliberately did all this to spend the night with me. So you could get me. What do you want? Why are you coming so close to me? Why are you forcing me to come close to yourself?" I knew I had been the one swept away, but still I wanted to dump the entire blame of the previous night on her, perhaps to soothe my conscience a bit. But the very next moment, without fearing my anger, she grabbed my collar. Holding my collar, she said, "What do you think of yourself? Am I some slave you bought? For the past 2 months, I've been silently agreeing to everything you say, just to win the heart of a person like you who looks like a cleric, but whose actions, God forbid, are like a devil. So you can't leave me, so my life can be settled with you. But now you are crossing every limit. You should be ashamed. In your eyes, is a playful, lively, cheerful girl a bad character? Not everyone can be like you, and that Annie, withered and sour. In reality, both of you are hypocrites, two-faced, having two faces." She kept pretending to be innocent in front of the world, maintaining a good image in everyone's eyes, while in reality, she trampled upon our parents' honor and left, and I am the one suffering the consequences. And I, who speaks my mind about what I feel, have to endure all this. Her eyes welled up as she spoke, but hearing Annie's name, something stirred in me. The next moment I grabbed her by the shoulders and said, "Whatever you want to say it later. But until I get to the bottom of this, until I know the truth of what you did with your sister, where you made her disappear on the spot, I cannot include you in my life. Because my mind is still stuck on that point. Where could an innocent girl like Annie suddenly go?" Hearing my words, she became angry. She said, "She's not innocent. If I tell you the truth, all those songs of love you're singing will evaporate like foam. She didn't like you. She had someone else in her heart, with whom she ran away, cutting everyone's nose, meaning bringing shame." Her words pulled the ground from beneath my feet. I said, "Are you in your senses? What nonsense are you spouting?" But hearing me, she said, "I'm telling the truth. Otherwise, by now my father would have used his influence to find her. He knows where she is. That's why he has broken all ties with her and said he will never see her face again. She liked a boy from the university and wanted to marry him, but he wasn't from our community. His family came to our house twice, but each time our father insulted them and threw them out. Once, when that boy even came to our house, our paternal aunt saw him, after which the news spread like wildfire throughout the family. The boys in the family who were dying to marry my sister, seeing her innocence, all refused to marry her. And what remained was just disgrace. My parents just wanted to get her married off as soon as possible. So they started looking for proposals through matchmakers. But look, a relationship was set with you. But on the very day of the wedding, she trampled on our parents' honor and ran away with that boy. And before leaving, she made me swear by our parents to marry you to save our parents' honor. While she is enjoying herself with her husband on a honeymoon in another country, here I am, going through 100 troubles to keep a husband happy who is years older than me. So I can make a place in his heart, which I absolutely didn't like. When I sacrificed for my parents and accepted you, even though you were nothing like the prince of my dreams, then why can't you accept me?" She was speaking all this in one breath, sobbing uncontrollably, and I stood there like a statue listening to everything she said. Indeed, what appeared was not always the reality. I let out a deep sigh. Aine's true nature had been revealed to me, and I was astonished how I had lost my heart to her, seeing her apparent innocence. Slowly, my behavior towards Mahin began to improve. She had tried her best to become like Aine to win my heart, but when love for her started to blossom in my heart, I no longer desired that simple, innocent demeanor, but rather her lively, cheerful nature, just as she had first appeared before me. That day, when I came home, upon entering, I glanced at her as she was about to go to the kitchen to cook. I said, "There's no need to toil in the kitchen. Today I feel like eating out." Hearing me, she looked at me with surprise, then said, "Okay, fine, go eat, but I'll make bread for myself." I took her hand and led her to the room, pulled out a beautiful, brightly colored dress from the wardrobe and said, "Wear this and fix this bird's nest of hair. Has no one taught you how a newlywed bride should carry herself? How one pleases her husband's heart?" She was more surprised than words could describe by my words. I was saying all this to her, scolding her. After wearing the clothes I had chosen, she put on makeup and came before me, looking absolutely like a celestial nymph. I took her hand and led her to a romantic candlelight dinner. She still kept blinking, asking, "Am I dreaming?" But I told her, "No, you've dreamt all the dreams you needed to. Everything is real now. What did you say? That I'm not your ideal guy. Tell me today, what kind of boys did you like?" At my question, she hesitated a little, but the next moment she laughed and said, "Whatever they were only in my dreams and imaginations. But in reality, you are superior to all of them." At her words, I also smiled. We were both extremely happy. As we were leaving the restaurant, my gaze fell upon a couple in the distance. It was Aini walking past, smiling, with her arm in her husband's. I let out a deep breath, then looked at Mahin standing beside me. Undoubtedly, what Allah had bestowed upon me was the best. Life had gained vibrancy. The day Mahin went to her parents' house, it was as if this home would bite me. I had become accustomed to her presence. Now it felt difficult to spend even a moment without her. Just a few days ago, I received the news that I am going to be a father, and just thinking about such immense happiness, I have promised myself that I will always keep my wife, Mahin, happy. I will never cause her any distress. What a beautiful and heartwarming conclusion to your story. The journey of Arsalan and Mahin's relationship, from resentment to love, is very touching.